Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the elders and bishops of Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and salutations to the beloved prophets and brothers continue to exhort the sheep in these last days. And a mighty shalom to the hopeful elect listening in, to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Shalom, shalom. The title of this epistle is going to be entitled, it's going to be centered around before the second coming of Hamashiach Yahushai and the regathering of the house of Israel, the elect. There's going to be a sifting, and we're going to go into the scriptures and pull from some of the covenant promises and what was said aforetime to our forefathers, and then ultimately unto us, for that covenant promise has always been embedded within the seed line of the seed of Israel, right? And we'll go in and we'll just start there, and then I'll figure out what the title of this epistle is going to be called later on. Matthew chapter 10 verse 34 says, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I am come not to send peace but a sword." There's going to be much division. There's going to be chaos and calamity. There's going to be separation of the wheat and tares, the sheep from the goats, the elect from the non-elect, and then ultimately the separation of the chosen out of the heathen nations, the regathering of the 12 tribes of Israel. Jumping back in Matthew chapter 10 and verse 35, it says, For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. The Most High Yahweh Yahushai is looking for those that have departed from the desires and the things of this world and have made themselves and are making themselves a living sacrifice unto the Most High Yahweh Power, for he needs willing vessels that are willing to obey him and take that cup of suffering like the Messiah did, to be used in order to spread the word and to release seeds into the earth for those that he may wish to pardon and to redeem. But there are those that may cleave to this world and the things that are in it, which will ultimately cause them not to be worthy to serve him. For you cannot serve two masters, right? You must be you must, in other words, put down your life in order to pick up your cross and to serve him. Verse 38, and he that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me, right? You're not worthy to take that cup and to ultimately walk as our Messiah did in part. Verse 40, he that receiveth you receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. What is the prophet's reward? It is the truth of the gospel. It's the 100% sound understanding of the scriptures being unlatched, and the meaning of it being put forth as a mark of salvation and mercy, right? And he that receiveth a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. A righteous man are those that keep the law, statutes, and commands to the best of their ability in observance to walk in those judgments. The unrighteous will not have the desire to keep his ways, but will have put other things in their heart and to serve those. Right, so the great sifting is still taking place now between the elect and the non-elect, for the regathering of the 1/3 of the house of Israel that will ultimately receive salvation, right? Because the Most High Yahweh Well, Yahushua says he is going to come and gather the remnant of Jacob. Let's go into Ezekiel chapter 30. Man. Ezekiel chapter 30. Oh, sorry, Ezekiel chapter 20. Man. Ezekiel chapter 20. Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 33 says, As I live, saith Yahweh power, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you, and I will bring you out from the people, and I will gather you out of the countries wherein you were scattered, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. The dispersed, the exiled of the 12 tribes of Israel, ultimately, through their fall, were subjected underneath of the curses and the penalties of the curses, to be brought into foreign lands to serve their enemies, and those in which a language they did not know, a strange language. This has been throughout history. It is written and recorded in history of the children of Israel going through being put into captivity through slave ships and through the sub-Saharan slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, and then ultimately waiting on redemption. For this is what this verse is talking about. I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of all the countries wherein you were scattered, with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness. So our forefathers are the ones that he had made a covenant with, and that covenant promise has always been on the seed line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It has not been a covenant that he has established with other nations and those that are outside of the nation of Israel. But this is a blood covenant that he had made to these particular treasures of people on earth. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So will I plead with you, saith Yahweh power, and I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. This is inspection, if you will. Those that have put off from the ways of iniquity and have come under the are being brought underneath of the bond of the covenant by keeping his law, statutes, and commands, observing them, right? We are under grace as of right now because we are learning, coming back to our power, bringing things into our remembrance, who we were as a people, where we came from, what language we originally spoke, our forefathers as well. And it's all being tied to history, right? It has to be tied to history in order to substantiate who you are as a people. You have to actually have fit the curses that are written therein. The spirit of Hamashiach has to resonate with you, right? Because we have firsthand experience of what these judgments bring. It brings sorrow, heartbreak, poverty, shame, discontent, broken homes, sickness, illnesses. We bear witness with the curses of who we are as a people. And we fear the Most High, and we want to please him by keeping his ways. And first and foremost, it starts with receiving this understanding and then going to teach your brother the same thing, because that's loving your neighbor as thyself, to wake them up and tell them who they are and what they should do to receive salvation. 38, Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 38, and I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgressed against me. These are those that are continuing to live in ways that are not well pleasing to the Father. This is the sifting. This is that sword that's going to go through those that continue to walk in darkness and reject the word of salvation, you know, he's going to purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am Yahweh power. Right, he's going to leave them right where they lay. You want to stay in Sodom and Egypt here in the west and be like the heathens and be subjected to all the things that they continue to bring unto you, then he's going to definitely leave you here. You will not be sanctified. You will not be cleansed from your iniquity. You will stay in your defiled state. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 45. Isaiah chapter 45. Isaiah chapter 45, verses 17. He says, but Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. The nation of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, shall always have an everlasting salvation, because it was a covenant promise with Abraham from the beginning, that if we were to keep his ways, then he would redeem us out of hard bondage and bring us back into our promised land, in which we will be able to keep our laws, statutes, and commands, and land Sabbaths, and praise him how we are to praise him in the land of your captivity. It is frowned upon to worship the Most High Yahweh, or Yahweh Shai. Everyone has a different doctrine here. Everybody is practicing different wayward religions, and this is unpleasing to the Most High Yahweh, our power. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 25, it says, in the Lord Yahweh, or Yahweh Shai, shall all the seed of Israel be justified, and shall glory. That 1/3 remnant that will be cleansed and purged of their iniquity shall be justified. Their iniquities will not be remembered no more, because they have properly repented with a broken and contrite heart, put on the garments of sackcloth and ashes, and returned unto Yahweh our power, in keeping his ways, because his ways bring life, and any other way brings death. False doctrine brings death. Not being purged of your iniquities brings death, and brings destruction and disasters, according to the scriptures, according to the curses. But although we were scattered into the four winds, he has always kept his promise that he will not utterly destroy us, but leave a remnant seed in the earth for the repurposes of bringing back to his people to the covenant, and ultimately himself. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 26. Man, I feel like crap. Leviticus chapter 26. Leviticus chapter 26 and we'll start at verse 40. It says, if they shall confess their iniquities and the iniquities of their fathers, our forefathers are our patriarchs, progenitors. I forgot the proper terminology for it, but our ancestors, our blood ancestors. This is why there's a genealogy of the Messiah found in Matthew 1. It shows the genealogy of where he came out. And in order to have a genealogy, it has to be through the bloodline. It just can't be made up, just a bunch of people. If they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers, which they trespass against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them. It's a marriage, right? And have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity, then I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. This covenant has always been a family thing. This has always been a family thing. The Semitic line, Shemitic line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not everyone in the world are Shemitic people. Verse 43. The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Sabbaths, while she lieth desolate without them, and they shall accept of the punishment of their iniquity, because they despised my judgments, and because their soul abhorred my statutes. Right. They thought keeping the law, statutes, commands were so burdensome unto them, but he has made it very easy to serve the Father, right? No longer do we have to bring animal sacrifices for our iniquities, but our Messiah, Hamashiach Yahushua, has made that sacrificial atonement for the children of Israel, the 1/3, to be grafted back into that covenant, right? That grafting in. Verse 44, and yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them, to destroy them utterly. That's the point, right? He has always left a remnant seed in the earth. We could read that in Romans chapter 9, verse 29, where he says, if it wasn't, let me not butcher that. I'm going to go there real quick. Romans chapter 9, I'm in Hebrews. Romans chapter 9, verse 29, he says, and as Isaiah said before, except Yahweh of Sabaoth hath left us a seed, we had been as Sodom and been made like unto Gomorrah. So if it wasn't for his covenant promise to keep a remnant seed within the earth, to reestablish the tabernacle of David, the house of David, we had all been together like Sodom and Gomorrah, totally destroyed, because he had sent plagues in Sodom and Gomorrah for all the iniquities of what they were doing at that time. But he has always made that promise that he will not utterly destroy them, utterly, to break my covenant with them. For I'm back in Leviticus chapter 26 and 44. And to break my covenant with them, and I am Yahweh their power. But I will for their sakes remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the heathen. So the heathens watched a people that were no people, a people that were frowned upon, looked down upon, given bywords and by names, a people that was totally destroyed. They watched them be redeemed and taken out of Egypt. The same that is going to happen again. And I might be their power, and I am Yahweh. These are the statutes and judgments and laws which Yahweh made between him and the children of Israel. The children of Israel was always to be a partaker of that covenant and keep his law, statutes, and commands in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses, right? Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed from that point until this day here, right? I'm thinking of, is that Amos? Give me 1 second. I'm in Amos real quick. Amos, nope. I'm looking where he says, let me not, let's go here real quick. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 29. Maybe it'll come to me. I'm having some fog issues. Deuteronomy chapter 29. Deuteronomy chapter 29 and verse 9. It reads, keep therefore the words of this covenant, and do them, that ye may prosper in all that ye do. Right? Because this was the covenant that he has established with the children of Israel every time they were taken out of captivity, and went and transgressed later on and fell out of the covenant promises and blessings again. But this is the last captivity that the children of Israel will experience upon total judgments and disasters being poured out and then ultimately being redeemed. Deuteronomy chapter 29 and verse 10. Ye stand this day, all of you, before the Lord your God, Yahweh your power, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and the stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water. That stranger is your brother, a Gentile Israelite that has the covenant blessings waiting for them until they depart from the ways of their iniquities and depart from the ways of the from the heathens. Will they then be circumcised by the heart, not no longer of the flesh, but of the heart, to keep his ways, and then they can participate the feast days and partake in keeping of the blessings of the covenant. Your little ones, your wives, and the stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water, that thou shouldest enter into covenant with Yahweh your power, and into his oath, which is also a vow, which Yahweh thy power maketh with you this day, that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself, and that he may be unto thee a power. And he hath said unto thee, and as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us today, those that were present, and also with him that is not here with us today, the remnant seed in the future. For ye know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we come through the nations which ye passed by. And as they were going and passing by through the nations, they were told not to go in the way of the heathens, right? But keep his ways to be brought into the promised land. I'm in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 3. It says, that then Yahweh your power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. Yahweh Shai hath scattered the northern and southern kingdom into the lands of their enemies. But we are yet to stay in the land of our captivity, and we are being brought back unto the understanding of who we are and what we should do to keep, what we should do to receive salvation, hopefully. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 4. If any of thine be driven out unto the outermost parts of heaven, from thence will Yahweh your power gather thee, and from thence will I fetch thee. And Yahweh your power will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And Yahweh your power will circumcise thy heart and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahweh your power with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. This is the promise to the seed line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their seed upon returning back to keeping his ways. And upon doing so, the curses will be then lifted up off of us and then be placed onto our enemies. So salvation is not a one for all, whoever has a Bible. No, this is for a predestined nation of people that have been outcast to the four corners of the earth. Verse 7 of Deuteronomy chapter 30. And Yahweh your power will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and all them that hate thee and persecute thee. Right now we can see the curses being reversed onto our enemies, Esau, Edom, and his nation of people, and then ultimately onto all the other nations that touch the apple of his eye, right? We read that in Psalms 83. We won't need to get that, but just showing you that the covenant promises and the blessings are going to be reserved for the 1/3 of Israel that return and keep his ways. The 2/3 will be cast into the lake of fire, along with the heathens that will not make it unto the end because they are rebellious and they are not grafted and covered by the blood of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. This is the word, right? This is what it says. Because the regathering is only for the 12 tribes of Israel. Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 11. Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 11. Let me see something real quick. I'll start at verse 10. In that day, Isaiah chapter 11 verse 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse. A root of Jesse means a spring, a seed, a seed line descendant that's going to rise to power, right? Out of the tribe of Judah. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people, and it shall the Gentiles seek. Those Gentiles are the dispersed Israelites that picked up the customs of the heathens. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Maybe I'll go into that. I don't know. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. The Gentiles. There's two manner of Gentiles found in the Bible. There's those that are of the 12 tribes that have not come to the understanding of who they are, where they're at, and the history of our forefathers, but are now continuing to stay within the customs and the understanding of this current present time, calling themselves after their land masses, and continue to stay within the customs of the heathens, right? Practicing all these pagan holidays and so on and so forth. That's a Gentile there. And then you also have the Gentiles, which are not of the nation of Israel. Those that are also considered as the heathens. Where was I going? 1 Corinthians chapter 12. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. He says, this is the Israelite Gentile. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. You know that you were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols. Now, when you pick up false philosophies and you start praying to false idols and stuff like that, everything that's outside of the covenant, you become Gentile. You are in a Gentile mind state. He says, you know that you were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led. Wherefore, I give you well, I won't go into there, right? I'm just touching that. And also Ephesians chapter 2 goes into that. This is for those that have come to the understanding of who they are and keeping his ways, coming out of that Gentile mind state. He says, and you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, where in times past you walked according to the course of this world. We walked according to the course of this world, right? All the vain things that they present you as a way of success and how to live in order to achieve happiness in this life. These are those that are still chasing the ways of this world, still trapped in that Gentile mind state, where in times past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. The God of this world, if you will, has power and dominion in unrighteousness. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And if not, who is he? He covers the faces of the judges. This is Job chapter 9 and I think verse 24, roughly paraphrasing, right? So for the sheer purposes of bringing down Esau, Edom, and gathering the elect, it's a sifting that's going on as well. So that's going into the Gentile mind state. Verse 11 in Ephesians chapter 2, he says, wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, who were called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands, that at that time you were without Hamashiach, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. Now when you go and you live another manner of life, you are a stranger and a foreigner from the commonwealth of Israel. being an alien without the covenant promises. It continues to go on and say that at that time you were without Hamashiach, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenant of promise, having no hope and without the Most High in the world, right? So when the disciples were dispatched by Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, he gave them the lowdown, if you will, on what they needed to do to go retrieve the lost sheep of the house of Israel in their Gentile mind state, in the lands of their captivities, to let them know that there was a way back to the covenant, no longer by animal sacrifices, which some of the Pharisees were still practicing. You know, they wanted to hold on to that, the practices that were established within the first covenant of animal sacrifices, and rejected the blood of the Messiah. They didn't realize that there was a better salvation being presented to them, right? Let's go back into Isaiah chapter 11 and start at verse 11. And this is talking about, again, the regathering of the 12 tribes of Israel. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. This is referring to the second Exodus. To recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. These land masses were labeled, these land masses, as such, as you see in this verse. They have changed the name of land masses as it is this day, right? But these land masses are referring to actual lands and countries wherein the 12 tribes of Israel are still scattered abroad until the second coming of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai regathers his elect from the four corners of the earth. Isaiah chapter 11 verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Right? So he's still talking about regathering the elect. Let's go into Ezekiel chapter 28. This is for those that have not put this together and are coming into the acknowledgement of the truth of the gospel, right? There's going to be a lot of people that reject it, and it's okay. It's whatever, really. It doesn't matter. Because he says, by your mouth will you be justified, and by your mouth will you be condemned. And this is a video epistle that's being recorded. It's going to be either for me or against me. So take it how you will. Ezekiel chapter 28. Ezekiel chapter 28. Verse 25. Verse 25 and verse 26. Thus saith Yahweh Power, when I shall have gathered the house of Israel from the people among whom they were scattered, and shall be sanctified in them in the sight of the heathen. We read that took place also in Egypt, right? So we're talking about the second time. We're going to be sanctified in front in the sight of the heathen. Then shall they dwell in the land that I have given to my servant Jacob. I'm laughing because I can't imagine what their faces are going to look like when the truth is actually exposed globally, and what will they be? Their jaws are going to drop. You know, because the Most High Yahweh Shai is going to show them the pride of their heart will ultimately have brought them condemnation. It's going to be happening in real life, in real time. Verse 26, Ezekiel chapter 29. And they shall dwell safely therein, and shall build houses and plant vineyards. In the land of your captivity, it is not promoted that you establish yourself here and do these things. It is not, especially when we're coming to the end of the end of our captivity, if your heart posture is that you want to go and acquire land and build a home and prosper here, this is showing you that if you are ready spiritually and are making the physical attempt at doing the works of the Most High Yahweh power by waking up your brothers and sisters, that is a vessel that's suggesting that they do not want to make Babylon their home, but they want to be redeemed and taken out and brought into the promised land, in where they can build houses and plant vineyards. Yea, they shall dwell with confidence when I have executed judgment upon all those that despise them round about them, and they shall know that I am Yahweh their power. Right? Don't you want to be surrounded by those that fear Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, and keep his commandments, right? And not be surrounded by those that are practicing Roman Catholicism, Christian Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, this ism and that ism, and this one doesn't even believe in a God. Nope. Ezekiel chapter 36. Ezekiel chapter 36. I'll start at verse 17-ish. Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 36, 17. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their own doings. Their way was before me as an uncleanness of a removed woman. So when our forefathers dwelt in the promised land, they went astray, and that's why they got kicked out. And he called them whores, divorced, so on and so forth. You know, they broke the marriage covenant with Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Wherefore I poured out my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for the idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries according to their way and according to their doings. I judged them. And when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name. Right? Even when you were mixed with the populace of the heathen, you continued to walk in ignorance and in iniquity. You profaned his holy name. These are the people of Yahweh, and are gone forth out of his land. Verse 21, but I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. He still had pity upon Jacob, because Jacob was a stiff-necked people, very arrogant, pride for no reason to be proudful. But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus saith Yahweh power, I do this not for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither you went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh power, saith your power, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. One people will be looking at another people be sanctified in front of them, being redeemed, but not for their own sakes, not according to anything they have done, but because they have been reformed and are being conformed to the image of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, and keeping the law, statutes, and commands, and because but for his holy name's sake, that he's a man of promise, and he is a man that stands on the promises that he made with Abraham, right? This is why he does it. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 24, for I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all the countries, and will bring you into your own land. Take you out of captivity and bring you into your own promised land. Not keep you in the promised land and bless you there. And no, this, you're here for being punished, to be refined, to purge out your iniquities before you are passed under the rod of the covenant to be brought into the full swing of the covenant. Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean. That clean water is the baptism of repentance that John the Baptist was preaching, that Yahushua had received. The Messiah received that. And upon receiving that doctrine, he was then given the spirit of prophecy, now being baptized in fire and baptized in water, now being full power. Now he has full power to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel and deliver unto them the full understanding of the scriptures. Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean. From all of your filthiness and from all of your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. He's not going to give you a physical heart transplant, but he's going to take that stony heart that wasn't able to receive water and turn it into a flesh heart that is now able to receive being washed. No rebellion, no stiff neck, humble, meek, showing mercy, exercising true judgment. That's a new heart and a new spirit. Before, your spirit was defiled. You were thinking all kinds of folly, you know. I got to get drunk. I got to go sleep around. I got to get high. I want to call out. I don't care about, you know, like that's a defiled spirit. That's a spirit that has no hope. But he's given us a new spirit, a revived, refreshed spirit of life and hope, looking towards the promises to be redeemed. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh, and I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes. What? He's going to cause you to walk in his statutes. Why? Because you don't want to be penalized and chastised by him anymore, but you know now not to put your hand to that bottle. You know now not to open your mouth and be made an idiot in front of people. Now you know how to bridle your tongue. Now you know how to exercise wisdom according to the scriptures. He will put within you his spirit and cause you to walk in his statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. Those that keep his law, statutes, and commands may have right to the tree of life. Revelation 22 verse 14. And ye shall dwell in the land which I gave to your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your power. I will also save you from all your uncleanness, and I will call for the corn and will increase it and lay no famine upon you. Right? Because we are living in a state of famine now. We lack resources. We don't have land. We barely have money to decide what we want to, you know, what we got to pay, you know, either a light bill or buy food or go without going to the dentist, or changing that crappy tire on the car or not. You know, you're lacking all kinds of things, but he's going to command his blessings to pour upon you more and more and more until you are consumed with blessings. Before, you were consumed with curses and lack and famine and darkness and shame, but he's going to take all that away and dry your tears. No more crying, no more death, but he's going to cause you to live in prosperity and joy and life. Verse 30, Ezekiel chapter 36, I will multiply the fruit of the tree and will increase of the field, that ye shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen. The blessings will come unto the children of Israel. The blessings are not going to be poured upon the heathen. Then shall you remember your own evil ways and your doings, that you were not good. This is coinciding what we read in Ephesians chapter 2, where in darkness you walked according to the course of this world, but now you have separated yourself and cleansed yourself from iniquity, no longer being a Gentile, but now coming back into your true power. Then shall you remember your old evil ways and your doings, that you were not good, and you shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and your abominations. This is mercy. True mercy. I got written down 16 and 60, Ezekiel chapter 16 and 60. I don't remember what it was. Oh, Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 15, it says, "And I will scatter thee among the heathen and disperse thee in the countries, and will consume the filthiness out of you." So that's the purpose of why he scattered us, in order to purge us of our iniquities, because now that you see that your life didn't bring any kind of fruit out of your own doings, you have no choice but to lean on the true power, which is Yahweh. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 60, it says, "Nevertheless, I will remember my covenant with thee in the days of thy youth, and I will establish unto thee an everlasting covenant. Then thou shalt remember thy ways and be ashamed, when thou shalt receive thy sisters, thine elder and thy younger." This is the northern and southern kingdom coming back together. Samaria and Judah, roughly paraphrasing, sorry. "Then thou shalt remember thy ways and be ashamed, when thou shalt receive thy sisters, thine elder and thy younger, and I will give them unto thee for daughters, but not by thy covenant. And I will establish my covenant with thee, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, that thou mayest remember and be confounded, and never open thy mouth any more because of thy shame, when I am pacified toward thee for all that thou hast done, saith Yahweh power." Right, he's going to remember his covenant. We're going to repent properly and keep his ways. Ezekiel chapter 39, verse 23. It says, "And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore I hid my face from them and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword." That's that great falling away. Jump down to verse 27, Ezekiel 39. "When I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, and I am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations, then shall they know that I am Yahweh their power, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen. But I have gathered them unto their own land, and have left none of them any more there. Neither will I hide my face any more from them. For I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, saith Yahweh power." And this is the reason why we can come back to our power with the understanding of who we are, because he has given us his spirit to remember all things. He has given his word unto Jacob. No one else, no other heathen can break down this book and reveal unto you the true understanding of the scriptures. Not the Catholic Church, not the Southern Baptist, not the Hindu, not the Roman Catholicism, not the government, not your neighbor down the street. His wisdom, knowledge, and understanding rests upon his men, his hopeful elect, those that fear the Most High Yahweh power, are willing to take that cup of suffering and go through the trials and judgments for the redemption of our people, to be brought back into the promised land. That wisdom is only given unto the house of Israel. We can read that. Every verse has to be substantiated with another verse. Psalms 147. Psalms 147. Yes, Psalms 147, verse 19 and 20 says, "He showeth his word unto Jacob." Jacob is the descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. Now, Jacob. "His statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash." I'll grab two more verses, and then we'll close it out. Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31 and verse 31. It says, I'll jump up. Jeremiah 31 and 27. "Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh power, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast. And it shall come to pass that as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to afflict, so will I watch over them to build them and to plant them, saith Yahweh power. In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten a sour grape, and the children's teeth are set on edge. This is this is that breakaway of the curses from our forefathers, and now have repented for our generational seed line, for us to receive that engrafting in of the covenant blessings, right? No longer will the children's have to suffer the consequences of the iniquities of their fathers, but now that is being broken, generational curse being broke. But everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that has eaten the sour grape, his teeth shall be set on edge. So now you're responsible for your own iniquities. No longer are you going to bring up a calf of 1 year old, or a sheep of 1 year old with no blemish, or no. Now you bear the consequences of falling out of grace with the Most High Yahweh power when you commit iniquity and sin. Verse 31, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh power, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. This covenant is going to be reestablished within the northern and southern kingdom, not according to the covenant that I had made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith Yahweh power. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh power. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their power, and they shall be my people. Those that have picked the scriptures back up and now are continuing to daily ingest this word, that daily bread, are the word is being written within our inward parts and staying within the forefront of our mind, to continue to stay within keeping our mind focused on Yahweh Shai. Verse 34, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahweh power. And I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. The children of Israel, their sins will be remembered no more. This is who the Messiah has come to shed blood for the redemption, first and foremost, to the 144,000 priests and judges that will be reestablished under the house of David, the tabernacle of David, right? Thus saith Yahweh power. Oh, well, I don't have to grab that, but thus saith Yahweh power, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divide the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith Yahweh power, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me. Which means that seed will always remain within the earth. So the ordinances of the moon and the stars and the sun are still in effect. They're still in operation, which means the covenant that he has established with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is also going to continue to stay established within the seed of Israel. Jeremiah 31, 36. Just precepting. And now we'll close it out with Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 8. This is the covenants, right? Wherever you want to mention the covenants, just go to those two chapters, Jeremiah 31:31 and Hebrews 8 and 8, or Hebrews 8 and 7 on down. It says Hebrews 8 and start at 7. For if the first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second, right? The first covenant had animal sacrifices, and they could always go off because the atonement for that was just bringing up an animal. But now it is not like that. Hebrews 8 and 8. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh power, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I had made with their fathers in that day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith Yahweh power. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Yahweh power. I will put my laws in their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a power, and they shall be my people, right? So we have to receive and believe in the blood atonement of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, being raised, born again, being raised, brought to death, and then raised again on the third day, and believing on the testimony of Hamashiach Yahushua and keeping his ways. So with that, I pray that this is edifying unto the elect. Tawara Abanawa Yahweh for another opportunity to bring forth some edification. And with that, Shalom.